Once upon a time, in a kingdom of knights and wizards embarking upon quests and adventures into the dangerous wilds of the unknown, there was a monster born to human parents. This creature was inhuman in form, looking more alike to a dragon or a demon than a mere babe of commoners, yet possessed the heart and mind of a mortal. The existence of this child was no secret to the people in the common town, yet wariness was their ally involving the rich or powerful, anyone who would gain from having such an abnormal beast. It was a community of friends and family that sheltered him from their vile schemes. This monster grew to know the world through the eyes of a boy raised on tales of grand conquest, with heroes battling injustice for the fate of mankind. He desired nothing else but to be like his idols, to use the power that his unique body was capable of in the service of good. So it was that the boy gathered the courage to beseech those who protected him to train him, teach him, and guide him in the ways of both battle and sorcery. An odd number of years went by. All the while, the boy monster was taught to defend himself, to wield the power of spells, and to always live a virtuous life. The peaceful life of the inhuman was torn asunder, barely 14 years since the day of his birth. The whispers of a monster living among humans had crept its way into the local nobility and then into the ear of the reigning monarch. Droves of the king's loyal warriors poured into the poor part of the township, demanding the beast be given to them under threat of death. The boy heard of this news, and with righteous fury in his heart he intended to fight for his people, but his beloved mother and father pleaded for him to take all he could carry and flee instead. They knew that if their son were to fight, he would never know peace until the day he died. Such a fate was ill-fitting for any being, human or otherwise. Though it pained him greatly, the boy relented and fled his home. Though the people had delayed the king's forces a short while, loyal hunters tracked their quarry into a deep forest teeming with monsters. Unable to return to the king in failure, the men surged forth into the woods like a tidal wave of steel and magic, burning every tree in their path as they hounded after the heels of the boy. For 7 days and nights they gave chase, only to be routed by creatures of unfathomable malice and violence in the deepest reaches of the unknown. Many were lost to monsters and demons lurking in the dark, even more lost to the guillotine awaiting them in the royal city. The monster they had chased fled deeper than his pursuers could ever dare to imagine, fleeing so far away that not even the fabled heroes could survive. He had vanished from the realm of men and had entered the domain of horrors. The beasts of this land range from the unending swarms of vermin, as dense as the ocean, to titans that rivaled the size and strength of great stone mountains. Every being, from the largest of predators to the simple and unassuming vine, was a possible killer, and the human-born monster was quick to learn this. For a decade in isolation, he battled the great fiends of the depths. His knowledge of battle and understanding of magic, taught to him by the former combatants that had helped raise him, allowed him to adapt and survive these cruel lands, and were only honed by the passing of time. To the people of the land, the monster had simply vanished into distant memory. Even the king, who had sent his finest to subdue the monster, had lost all recollection of that day. Yet there were a few who remembered that day with bitter resentment in their hearts. It was during the 11th year following his departure that a tragedy struck the township of his birth. A quarrel between lords had become a battle of subjugation, and the town was now under siege. Though the people were determined to protect their homes, they were little compared to the army battering at the walls. It had seemed as though all hope had been lost. That was true until a stranger came from the dark woods, his eyes set upon the camp of the invading force. He approached their leaders only to be blocked by knights and mages alike. A challenge was declared by the stranger. "If you desire to ransack these lands, you must defeat me." The army mocked him for his words, only to become enraged upon his further provocation that he would face them 10 to 1, No, 100 to 1 without effort. To this insult, the commanders of the army became furious and ordered the execution of the stranger. So began a battle unlike any other, where one man bested 1,000 with steel and spell. The blades brought to his flesh were unable to pierce his skin. The ice and flames flung at him dissipated into the ethereal before marring his form. To those who sought to harm him, he was untouchable. The commanders called their men back so they could meet with this unbeatable foe diplomatically. His demands were simple and unwavering. Leave these lands or face annihilation. The people of the town could not see what happened next, as the great stone walls blocked them off from their would-be assailants. The man wrapped in rags raised a hand to the sky, calling forth a gale of wind strong enough to launch armored men high into the air. Thunder crackled at his fingertips before lashing out, turning weapons into slag. His eyes shone out from beneath his masked face, their red glow bright enough to be seen by all before him. Seeing no means of overcoming this foe, they withdrew their forces. The townsfolk were in awe. They had never heard of a single person standing before the might of so many. The stranger left the bloodied battleground and headed towards the gates, which opened wide to welcome him. The people had gathered, as did the local lords and their knights. A great roar of cheers erupted as the man entered the town, though he paid it no mind. The lords tried to speak with him, but he walked past them wordlessly. The people cheered and thanked him, but silent he remained. He followed a path through the town that none would have guessed as they trailed behind. He arrived before a house that seldom saw visitors, one that had been the subject of much scrutiny and gossip. The stranger knocked, and a young girl answered the door with her parents close behind. The man removed his cowl, revealing his monstrous features. Former friends and neighbors knew that face well, and their joy was palpable in the air. He uttered but a few words to explain himself before the parents he had long ago abandoned wrapped their arms around him, a chorus of cheers echoing through the streets. The boy they had lost was finally home. Thus, a new story began. The tale of a family once shattered being repaired, of a young girl's travels alongside her inhuman brother, and of the monster born to human parents rising to become a hero revered by all. But that is another tale.